Hello, everybody. You're listening to AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. That's me. Thank you for joining me today, giving me just a little bit of your time. I do have to say, and I do have to start off by saying, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you taking the time to tune in and listen and just letting me talk some sports with you. I mean, that makes my day. I'm very blessed to do what I do, and I'm very blessed to talk to who I talk to. So thank you all for listening. Today we're going to talk about the Tennessee Titans. There's some changes in Nashville. Mike Mularkey wants to do some new things with Marcus Mariota in the Titans offense, as well as an update on the Volunteers. They advanced to the second round of the SEC tournament, beating Auburn yesterday, and they play Vanderbilt today, so we'll get you the results of that game, as well as more Brock Osweiler talk as we move away from Peyton Manning in the NFL. Who is the one to fill his shoes in Denver? Peyton Manning's got a lot of fans everywhere. Okay, I mean he's just one of those guys. It doesn't matter what team he plays for; it's going to be his fans follow him everywhere. But the people who replace legends, we got to talk about them too. So Brock Osweiler talk. Is it Osweiler? Is it Kaepernick? RG3? Ryan Fitzpatrick? We'll get into all of that in a little bit. But before I do anything else, let's talk about the platforms, the places where we can find you and you can find us if you feel so inclined. Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. If you search Hot News Talk Radio, we are the first thing that comes up. We'd love to hear from you. As always, if you want to check out our classic episodes, we never, ever call them old, then you can do that as well. You can also find us on hotnewstalkradio.com. We stream 2, 4, and 7 and 365. So check that out. Has a stat line of that. And we also stream on the TuneIn Radio app. It's absolutely free. It costs you $0. The most important stat of all. You can get it in the Apple Store or the Google Play Store directly to your mobile device. Search Hot News Talk Radio in the app. Give us a follow. Press play. You will have Hot News Talk Radio everywhere you go. I use the TuneIn Radio app constantly. Cannot get above how good that app is. And of course, this show and many others like it are brought to us by patrons in the area, local restaurants, local places that believe in what we're doing. And if you'd like to join those ranks, you can reach out to us at hotnewstalksales@gmail.com or me personally at keonrose@gmail.com. And we can try and hook you up to get your message, to get what you're trying to use to better the community out into the world using the power of radio. So all of those things, now that we've gotten that all nice and said, I would like to talk about Tennessee Volunteers basketball because they could win this tournament. Okay, and you were thinking that maybe there might be a little bit of a long stretch for them to make the tournament, and it still kind of is. It is an uphill battle of sorts, okay? They're not a lock to get into the tournament because the season that they had was up and down. It was kind of rough, but they ended the season strong. I believe they won 6 out of their last 7 games, losing just one of those games to Texas A&M, and Texas A&M is a real good basketball team. So there's no shame in losing to that team. That looks good on your schedule regardless. And if they're able to put together a run in this tournament to win it, a deep run or a tournament victory, you got to get the Vols in. Winning the SEC would be huge, would be absolutely huge in going a long way to make sure that this team has a return to prominence. Tennessee was a pretty solid basketball school in the 2000s. And after everything happened that happened, we don't have to go back through everything, but the school fell off. Basketball-wise, you could argue football-wise, probably around the same time as well. And that level of success that you'd like to see it return to Vols Nation, you've got an opportunity here to do something and to start the momentum going in a positive direction so far as basketball goes. Because once you get into the tournament, we say it all the time, anything can happen. I understand Rick Barnes has the reputation of not going very far in the tournament, but if the Vols were to make the tournament this season, they would be well ahead of schedule, and they're doing what they're doing in this SEC tournament amazingly without the help of Kevin Punter Jr., who is an amazing talent as far as shooting the basketball goes. He's a very good shooter. I like the makeup of this Vols team. I just didn't think that they would have much of a chance against the Vanderbilt without him. And you know what? You got some guys stepping up. You have Armani Moore obviously stepping up, the other half of that dynamic duo, but Admiral Schofield, which that is a heck of a name. I like that name, and I like that name a lot. Admiral Schofield. Admiral Schofield in the NFL, Captain Munnerlyn has another good name. Like, my parents should have named me after a high-ranking military position. I would have appreciated that. I know Keon is a good name too. I'm not complaining about my name. I like my name a lot. I'm just saying. High-ranking military official for a name. Just, wouldn't that be cool? Like, if they named me like lieutenant? Obviously, you don't want to go private first class. There's a problem there. But Vanderbilt may be left on the outside looking in of the NCAA tournament if you don't make a deep enough run in these conference tournaments and your record is not good but not great. You could find yourself on the bubble, and being on the bubble is a terrifying place to be because it's a member of committees that sits down and looks at you and looks at what you're doing and says you're in the tournament or you're not in the tournament, and it's so subjective. And here's the thing. We've proven this season alone by just the number of teams that were number one and then they lost. And then another team was number one and they lost. And nobody sustained any strong runs of success. You're looking at this team and this team in Nashville, Vanderbilt, you're looking at this team and you're going, I don't like the subjectivity of this. We've gotten so much wrong just at the top of the rankings. Can you imagine as we get closer to the bottom? It's even more muddled down there. And there's a lot of outrage. Teams like St. Mary's may not get in. There's a lot of outrage as to which schools should and shouldn't get in. Vanderbilt's got the basketball history and the basketball pedigree, and they're a very good basketball school. By no stretch of the imagination are the Vanderbilt Commodores a bad team. This certainly is not one of their stronger seasons, but you just have to look at this on paper and go, wow, this school might not make it in. And, part of it is their strength of schedule. They're middle of the pack for the state of Tennessee, with UTC having the strongest strength of schedule, ETSU being right behind them. The Vols being behind Vanderbilt. So, they're in the middle of the pack, but we're looking at a situation where Vanderbilt might just be too far on the bubble. We'll have to wait till Selection Sunday to find out, obviously, but it's incredibly possible that a very good basketball team could be out of the tournament, and a team that didn't look so great in the beginning in Tennessee could very well be in. And not only that, but the way that Vanderbilt lost in this game, it was a close game throughout the entire thing. And that's the kicker here, is that Tennessee opened up a pretty sizable lead early on, and then they were able to hold off a Vanderbilt rally, and Vanderbilt hanging on, and then Tennessee comes up with a couple of three-pointers late in the game, and Vanderbilt has a chance to tie the game at the end. I was looking for the name of the player that shot the layup, but Wade Baldwin had a last-second layup that went in. It was high off the glass. He was running up the floor, careening up the floor, and the shot was 1/10 of a second too late, in possibly the most heartbreaking way to lose a game ever, just ever. So I feel really bad for the Commodores. They did about everything that they could. They just couldn't make up the lead that the Vols had opened up early. They just couldn't hang on. They regained the lead twice in the second half. despite being down by as many as 12 early on. So Tennessee hanging in, getting that victory, and moving on in the SEC tournament. And they're going to advance and possibly give themselves just some more time to try and make this run. Chattanooga's in. Just want to slide that little nugget of truth in there. UTC's in. I'm happy. This is AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. You're listening to Clutch with Keon Rose. That's me. Thank you for joining me today, giving me just a little bit of your time. You have no idea how much I appreciate you. Let's talk about Brock Lobster over in Denver. Mr. Brock Osweiler. Brock Osweiler walked away from the Denver Broncos to join the Houston Texans for a 4-year, $72 million deal. He was going to make more money in Houston than he would have in Denver. Denver offered him less money. And the reports are coming out that Brock Osweiler didn't just leave Denver because of the money. The money is part of it. You go where you can get paid, man. But the money is not the only reason why he left. Brock Osweiler left Denver because of an issue of respect, which you see play out in free agency all over sports. Okay, doesn't matter the sport. Guys get to a certain point where they feel like they are worth X amount of dollars, and you go where you get paid that amount of money because you feel you're worth that. It's not even about winning championships. It's not about having an opportunity to win now. It's about going where you are wanted, going where you feel there is respect for your talent. And Brock Osweiler felt like the Houston Texans respected his talent more for a number of reasons, right? One reason is Peyton Manning is figuring out whether or not he wants to retire. And the Broncos didn't talk to Brock Osweiler about contract negotiations at all during that time period. They didn't. The Broncos chose Peyton Manning even in retirement over Brock Osweiler now. Okay? And then you go back to earlier in the season, near the end of the season, Brock Osweiler is playing in a game that's coming up to the fourth quarter, and he gets benched in favor of Peyton Manning. He throws 2 bad interceptions in the game. He wasn't playing particularly well. The ball wasn't really moving. Peyton Manning comes in the fourth quarter, manages the game very well, brings the team back. They're able to win. Again, Peyton didn't do anything amazing in that game either, but what Peyton did do was manage the game, not turn it over, and give the Broncos a chance to win, which they ultimately ended up doing. Peyton keeps the starting job and goes on to the Super Bowl, and the rest, as you know, is history, where Brock Osweiler still probably feels like, you know what? I was the best option there. Maybe I wasn't having a good game that game, but I was the best option there. I'm 5-2 as a starter. Why doesn't this mean anything? I'm able to beat good teams in close games. Okay, I beat Cincinnati, and I beat New England in overtime. Doesn't that mean anything? And maybe he felt a little disrespected. Now, I can understand that feeling of disrespect. But here's the thing that Brock Osweiler's got to get over, okay? Because if he left Denver because they benched him, that's silly. Just straight up, that is just silly. If he left Denver because he wanted more money, I'm okay with that. If he left Denver because he wanted to build his own legacy, that's fine too. If he left Denver because the AFC South is awful and he has a chance to win down there, that also makes sense. Like that, all of these things make sense. But you leave Denver because they bench you for Peyton Manning, that doesn't make any sense. Peyton Manning, okay, and I don't feel like I'm the only one saying this, Peyton Manning is a first ballot Hall of Famer. The moment that he is eligible to be elected into the Hall of Fame, that is exactly where he's going. And there's not going to be any dispute about it. He owns every record. He's got all the numbers, and he's got a couple of rings. That solidifies everything. Just everything. Peyton Manning, first ballot Hall of Famer. You, Brock Osweiler, are 25 years old. You are struggling, and the Peyton Manning's a legend. I mean, you got benched for a legend. If the reason why you're not happy is because you felt like you deserved to be starting over Peyton Manning, you're being silly. It's petty, it's small, and it makes no sense. Now, the Broncos have some options here. Now, the Broncos need to move on from Brock Osweiler, right? Regardless of why he left. That's one issue in and of itself. And you're listening to AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio Clutch with Keon Rose. We're talking about the Denver Broncos and their now vacant quarterback spot because the drama is heating up here. And if you want to call in and you've got a take on it, make sure to call the Hot News Talk Radio hotline. Call in 423-800-8949. That's 800-8949. But here's an issue that's coming up with how the Broncos have handled this. You went from having two viable quarterback options, one really old Peyton Manning and one really young Brock Osweiler, to having no quarterback options. Okay, you have nobody at all, and now you're scrambling around. And I understand that John Elway's taking the hard line. We want guys that want to play here. We're going to stick with guys who want to play here. Like, I get it, okay, but sometimes you just got to pay a little bit more money. If your answer to the open quarterback spot is RG3, I feel like he's going to run you a little bit more money than Brock Osweiler would, because RG3's got a lot of teams interested in him. As far as money goes, that's going to cost you. Fair? If your answer to this problem is Ryan Fitzpatrick, you've taken a step backward from Brock Osweiler in terms of talent. And I like Ryan Fitzpatrick a lot, but Ryan Fitzpatrick is about as average a quarterback as you can possibly find in the National Football League. Average, which is why he's been on so many teams. He's not on so many teams starting as a quarterback because he's bad. He's starting on so many teams because he's average. A lot of teams are willing to have him, but nobody wants to keep him if you can do better. That's the reason why Ryan Fitzpatrick bounces around everywhere. He's powerfully average. So you're taking a step backwards. Brock Osweiler is not average. I think he is slightly above average and has the potential to go even further beyond that. So I would stick with Osweiler. And if your other solution to this problem, and it is a far less nonsensical and more viable solution to the problem, is Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick is a guy that I don't know how good he is at football. I know he's an incredible athlete, but I don't know how good he is at quarterback specifically. And mentally, that side of the game, I've never seen a guy look like that since David Carr. David Carr drafted when the Houston Texans started up as a franchise, and they had no offensive line to protect him, and he just got beat up, and you could just see it in his eyes. David Carr didn't want any anymore. He looked punch drunk. He just looked like he didn't want to be there anymore. That's what I saw in Colin Kaepernick a season ago. You could just see it in his eyes. He just didn't want it anymore. He's looking around, trying to find some help. He's got none. The offensive line's not protecting him. He's making mistakes. His receivers aren't helping him. It was just so many things going wrong with him in that situation that if you move him to a different situation, does that fix anything? I like Colin Kaepernick in Denver because if Colin Kaepernick goes to Denver and he's not good, Denver's defense is good enough to bail him out until he can get his legs under him, get himself rolling a little bit. Okay, I like that for him in Denver. That's a really good fit if Denver can pull off that trade. There's just a couple of issues. One, Colin Kaepernick's going to want his contract restructured, which is fine. They can actually restructure it for still less money than they would have paid Brock Osweiler. So that I like that. The issue here is the other thing. The 49ers want a second rounder for Colin Kaepernick. The Broncos are going no higher than third rounder. That makes sense. The risk of Colin Kaepernick is not worth actually being able to add a vital piece in the second round. You draft NFL players in the second round. First, second, and third rounds, you draft guys that tend to stick around in the league usually. So you don't want to try and swing on Colin Kaepernick with a piece that could actually fit on your team, especially when you're Denver and you've got a lot of guys you need to pay. You could draft a guy to come in cheaper to do a job that you need to have done. So the situation in Denver is playing out like a soap opera. It looks more like an episode of As the World Turns or something like that. And I'm loving every second of it. This is why the NFL offseason is so popular. And when we come back, we're going to talk more NFL offseason. Tennessee Titans, Mike Mularkey, changing some things around for Marcus Mariota. Talk about it next.
I'm blowing everything up. We're starting over. I'm doing a new show. I want guys who push it to the middle of the table and go over the top. Take a risk, fail miserably. I'm right, and I'm not wrong, and I'll never back down. Conflict works. Allow it.
It's The Herd with Colin Cowherd. Right here and everywhere. Noon Eastern.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
Fox News Talk 1240. I'm going to Carter Shooting Supply.
Carter Shooting Supply.
That's right, Carter Shooting Supply. They're having a great sale on all of their guns right now, and it's name brands like Smith & Wesson, Ruger, Springfield, their AR-15s. They've got the hottest gun in the land right now, the Sky 9mm. Man, it comes in all the cool colors. If you're an Alabama fan, they've got crimson. If you're a big orange fan, they've got an orange one. You know, all the women are loving the pink one and Tiffany blue. Plus, it has a lifetime warranty replacement. If the gun is stolen, all you need is your police report or receipt, and they'll replace it free. It has a 60-day full money-back guarantee. That's Carter Shooting Supply. They're in Harrison right there at 6210 Highway 58.
Are they online?
Yes, they are. That's cartershootingsupply.com, or give them a call, 423-344-1099. Now, this sale's not going to last too long, so you need to hurry up and get there. And they do have a great indoor shooting facility. You can get your Tennessee handgun carry permit also. That's Carter Shooting Supply, 423-344-1099. You need a place for your party or maybe a wedding reception for 100 or even more. Maybe you'd like to host a small trade show for your business, and you need a very affordable venue. Are you looking for a place for your birthday gala or services to start up a church? Look no further than the Hidden Gem in Hickson. It's an overlooked, newly appointed reception hall right here in Hickson, Tennessee. Big space, small price. That's right, big space, small price. Call Mr. Chu and ask for a tour. 316-7388. That's 423-316-7388. He'll tell you a lot more about the venue. Rent this venue today. Just call 423-316-7388 and ask for Mr. Chu.
Expect fair to partly cloudy skies to continue through the nighttime. Milder overnight lows into the lower 50s. For the midweek, more warm spring-like weather ahead through Thursday. Becoming breezy but dry, highs into the mid-70s with some showers rolling in later Friday. The Fresh Oil New Wine Conference at Abba's House continues through Thursday. Pastor Ron Phillips welcomes Perry Stone, Tommy Bates, Randy Caldwell, and others for this week of encouragement and renewal. For more, FONW.com. And I'm Sourcine 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Moore.
On AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
When the weather turns bad, turn to AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. On the net, hotnewstalkradio.com. Follow us on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. From the Hot News Talk Radio Weather Center. Chattanooga, we've got you covered. When the weather turns bad, the Tennessee Valley turns to Hot News Talk Radio.
Go, 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 go.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
Fox News Talk 1240.
AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio with your Hot News Now update. More trouble in Ooltewah High School. An assistant Ooltewah High School football coach is now being investigated after a 17-year-old student says that he allegedly sent her nude photos over Snapchat. The girl said that she was receiving inappropriate Snapchats with the teacher. A Collegedale detective and officer went to the school and met with the SRO, several staff members, and Principal Jim Jarvis. Some of the girl's friends had advised a guidance counselor of the incident, and then the guidance counselor told the SRO. The girl also said that she and the teacher planned to meet for sex on 3 separate occasions. She said she fell asleep on one occasion, on the other they got into an argument, and on the third time she chickened out, in her words. And the CPD is going to be increasing its policing in high crash areas and heavily trafficked areas of the roads. They're going to be employing what's called intelligence-led policing, one of the CPD's 3 policing strategies. Using this strategy, it will be identifying areas at most risk for increased crash rates and the times of day that those crashes happen. If it's going on in the Tennessee Valley, it's going on Hot News Talk Radio.
Hot News Talk 1240.
So the Tennessee Titans are in a situation, in my opinion, where we're not sure if the head coach of this football team is the right guy to be the head coach of this football team. And I still don't know where I come down on that pretty often. I've been flip-flopping in my own mind because Mike Mularkey did a pretty decent job when he came in last year to be the head coach of the team. I do think that at least in signing him to be the head coach of the Titans, I think they did it too quickly. I do think they did it too quickly because they could have gone through the process of finding other coaches a little bit longer to see if you could find a decent fit. And they jumped in on Mularkey, which tells you how much they really liked him, to be fair. Okay, they really liked him a lot. And I'm okay with that. You know, I think they did go a bit quick, though. I mean, you got to at least acknowledge that. They went pretty quickly through that process. Now, I worry about Mike Mularkey because if you look at his winning percentage as a head coach, it hasn't gone particularly well. Now, there's a couple of things to that, right? Like, one angle is he could just be a really bad coach, okay? Because you start to see guys repeatedly get head coaching jobs, and then if they're not successful long-term, like, ultimately you just have to go, you know what, scratch that. We just can't win with this guy. Whereas a bad coach can go undiscovered for a really long time if he, say, goes to a Super Bowl or something like that and just continues to just keep talking himself into job after job after job, which is what I think you're seeing with Jeff Fisher. Jeff Fisher had a lot of really bad seasons with the Tennessee Titans, but he went to one Super Bowl with them, and he is riding that one Super Bowl into a contract extension with the now Los Angeles Rams, right? So you can see a guy hide behind success and a guy who ends up in a situation where there isn't a whole lot of success might be unfairly blamed for that success. In the case of Mike Mularkey, his most recent head coaching gig was in Jacksonville, which was awful. And I would argue not his fault entirely. I think there's some responsibility that goes to the head coach, but there's also some of it that's like, what can you do with Blaine Gabbert? No receivers, no offensive line, barely a running back, 3 good linebackers, no other good defensive players. What could you actually accomplish? He was given a hand that was stacked against him from the very, very beginning. It's hard to look at that and go, Mike Mularkey couldn't win because he was a bad coach. There's some division there, but you look at Bill Belichick up in New England. Bill Belichick is wildly successful in New England, but before he was in New England, he was in Cleveland, and when he was in Cleveland, it was real bad. And part of that is he was trying to fix the team. He was trying to get it to look more like a good football team first, an actual coachable unit of guys, and had like hiring Bill Belichick from how everything went down in Cleveland in 1995 seems in retrospect like some kind of no-brainer. Like, yeah, of course you'd hire Bill Belichick, but we didn't know how good he'd be then. Now that he's got an actual team, an actual system, and he's in control of personnel and all of these things, or at least highly involved in personnel decisions, you're looking at a team in New England that as long as Brady's good, they're good. You know, they already have their quarterback, and as long as he's there, they can win anything. Like, they're a threat to win the Super Bowl every single year. And I'm not saying Mike Mularkey is Bill Belichick, but what I am saying is he's good. He could be very good, but he wasn't. Like, last year's Tennessee Titans team, not good. Okay. This year's team still got a lot to go, but they're working on rebuilding. And the rebuilding moves that they have made, I like a lot. I just have one question. The question about Mike Mularkey as a viable head coach, I bring up only because Mike Mularkey has made, in my mind, already a very questionable coaching move. Okay? Let's take a look at Marcus Mariota. Here's the questionable coaching move first. The questionable coaching move is Mike Mularkey wants Marcus Mariota to start playing more under center. Okay? And I'm looking at that decision And I have lots of questions. I have a lot of questions because playing under center is the thing that NFL teams have always done, and it's stuck up and it's kind of in the past. Like, we always have played under center. This is why we play under center. And I want to know what his reasons are for switching Marcus Mariota to playing more under center, because Mariota has had great success in Oregon in college in the shotgun, playing a lot in high school in the shotgun. Marcus Mariota has been a shotgun quarterback his entire life, and he had a lot of success in the NFL, at the NFL level in the shotgun last year. Okay, he's done something that only 68 quarterbacks have done since the merger of the league. He threw 250 passes. He was sixth. He was fifth in passer rating. He was sixth in touchdown percentage, which is the number of throws that turned into touchdowns. And he was 14th in interception percentage. So about the league average in interceptions thrown as a rookie. And he's fifth in completion percentage and seventh in yards per attempt. So it's not like he was throwing off little dump-off passes. Marcus Mariota got in there, was making big boy NFL throws, and doing so mostly from the shotgun. Why mess with that formula? He's never done under center before. And I understand adding a little bit more, right? Like, if you want him to become an under center quarterback, I think you can do so over time. Just tweak it a little bit, and then, nobody notices, and then he's under center more, and you didn't even realize it. But like Peyton Manning came in and changed the game, we talked about this. Peyton Manning came in. Peyton Manning added more shotgun to the league. That was something that Peyton Manning wanted to do. He wanted to be able to stand back and diagnose the defense before the ball was snapped. And that's what you get for Mariota, who's young, who probably needs the time to try and figure out what the defense is doing before the ball is snapped. When he's underneath center, for all the advantages that being under center has, one disadvantage that it has is that I'm under center. I can't really see what the defense is doing. I stand up, and now I've got to diagnose. Now I've got to figure it out. Okay, in shotgun, I'm standing already. Okay, there's nothing that can trick me or that can be as easily disguised from me in that way. So I question this particular move of head coach Mike Mularkey. I have more than a few questions about that particular move, but I understand what Mike Mularkey's trying to do. I think he wants to go under center more because he's switching to a more running style. We talked about the other day the Titans acquiring DeMarco Murray in a trade. DeMarco Murray, who joked earlier today, that he took a year off in Philadelphia because the Eagles didn't give him nearly as many carries as he needed to be effective. Okay, and now he's in Tennessee. He's not being paid that much by the Titans, which I think is such a great pickup for them because he's not costing them anything really. And he's going to be given the ball a lot. I think they're going to try and ride him more often. So Marcus Mariota being under center really helps sell that play action fake. It really does. The play action fake that you can run off of that is going to be huge. Mike Mularkey likes to run a lot of 2 tight end sets. He also is more of a smash mouth offense kind of guy. Like, these games get won in the trenches. So there's going to be a lot of running. There's going to be a lot of bulky men making lanes for DeMarco Murray to run through. DeMarco Murray is a one cut and go guy. So as soon as he sees a lane, he'll take it. I think that this fit works. And I think it probably does take some pressure off of Mariota long term if DeMarco Murray pans out. It's a bit of a gamble, but if DeMarco Murray pans out, this switching to Marcus Mariota of going under center might not be such a bad idea after all. But I do have questions for it because I still think you can go shotgun and have DeMarco Murray. DeMarco Murray's big deal as to why he wasn't successful in Philadelphia was Chip Kelly's system didn't fit him at all, and he didn't get enough touches. He just didn't get the ball often enough. And that turned out to be an unmitigated disaster, a Chernobyl of NFL teams. Not that I enjoy kicking the Eagles while they're down or anything. I'm just saying. This is AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. You're listening to Clutch with Keon Rose, and I've got to talk to you about platforms. We do it all the time. There's nothing new here. Nothing new under the sun. I am not playing tricks. Platforms. Where can you find us, and where can we find you? That's the social media. Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Search Hot News Talk Radio in any of those media. We are the first thing that comes up. You can find all of our content, all of our news stories, and more. Plus, if you want to say something to us, we do reply and respond back. And near instantly, might I add, okay? Because I get on those replies. I do. I'm just saying. I read everything you write. Also, if you want to listen to us, we mentioned YouTube earlier. We stream all of our shows live. This one, the David Tulis Show, Binary with Russell Stroud. Any local show that we have, we stream on YouTube. And you can go back and listen to our old classic episodes and get your fill of what happened yesterday. Did you miss the show? Did you not get to listen to the whole thing? We've got more for you. Come on now. Also, hotnewstalkradio.com. We stream 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I mean, that's a great stat line. And if you want to listen to us on your mobile device, the TuneIn Radio app. The TuneIn Radio app. It's absolutely free, $0, the greatest stat of all. And you can get it in the Apple Store or the Google Play Store. Search Hot News Talk Radio, give us a follow, press play, and you'll have Hot News Talk Radio everywhere you go. And of course, if you're looking for an opportunity to get your message out there, whether you're a business, whether you're a nonprofit, whether you're a church, you can call Hot News Talk Radio, 800-8949. You can email us at hotnewstalksales@gmail.com, or me personally at keonrose@gmail.com. And we will run your inquiry up the ladder and make sure that your message gets heard right here on AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. Combine us and you. It's the power of radio. It's the power of radio. So running back through the news of the day, 67-65, the Tennessee Volunteers upset the Nashville-based Vanderbilt Commodores. Vanderbilt is, boy, heartbroken. They have to be. They have to be after the way that game ended. They gained the lead twice after being down as much as 12 points. 12. Can you believe that? After being down by as many as 12. And they had one shot to tie the game, to send it into overtime. And you know what? Can hardly believe it. Shot was 1/10 of a second too late. I mean, I saw the Vine for it, and I like, it still hurts. Like, I'm looking at it, and I'm like, there's no way, man. And that's what this month of March is about. A lot of heartbreak from a lot of these really close games. Tennessee having a chance, keeping its tournament hopes alive. Vanderbilt now on the bubble, hopefully not on the outside looking in. Around the world of college basketball, Kansas wipes the floor with Kansas State 85-63. Notre Dame beats Duke 84-79. Villanova over Georgetown 81-67. North Carolina handles its business 88-71. Florida and Arkansas in the other part of the bracket of the SEC tournament. Florida 68, Arkansas 61. And number 8 Florida also advances, and I believe we'll be meeting Tennessee tomorrow in the tournament. So championship week is starting to come to a head. Check that. Florida is going to face Texas A&M on Friday. Arkansas season is over. Arkansas season is definitely over. But Florida faces Texas A&M, the number 1 seed on Friday. Fantastic basketball team. And the Vols tomorrow will be facing LSU. Ben Simmons and LSU. And boy, if you want to talk about a team that's disappointing, LSU, with all the talent on that team, with Antonio Blakeney and Ben Simmons, that team's not going to make the tournament. Ben Simmons has probably mentally checked out ages ago. Okay, he's such a good basketball player, but it's weird because you so often see guys make a name for themselves in the NCAA tournament. Like, guys have made paychecks. Guys have gotten themselves to be high in the draft based on their play in the NCAA tournament. And Ben Simmons, who a lot of people believe could be the number 1 overall pick, isn't even going to be there. And that's so strange when you look at guys like Derek Williams, who jumped up draft boards because of how they played in the NCAA tournament, or Kemba Walker because of the hot streak that UConn went on to win the Big Ten tournament, and then the ACC tournament. UConn went on that run, and then they went on a run in the NCAA tournament, which is however many games in a row, and just won the whole thing. And it was incredible, and it was amazing. And we're not going to see Ben Simmons, who's arguably one of the best players in the league. And Ben Simmons doesn't have a chance to win the John Wooden Award, which is an award given to the most outstanding college basketball player, because lower than a 2.0 GPA, because this dude, Ben Simmons, he's not going to class because he's majoring in basketball. So I think that that's a terrible idea too, but we've already talked about that one. So there's your sports update there as far as college basketball goes. It's getting crazy. It's getting wild. It's my favorite time of the year. I like it better than Christmas. This is Christmas. Move over, Christmas. You've been replaced. Basketball. Basketball is important. Now, I do want to talk a little bit of golf here because, I'm a University of Texas fan. So, Jordan Spieth, really, really great year in golf last year. And so obviously, because golf is golf, and you don't grow up rooting for golfers geographically, usually. Teams geographically, yeah, you root for the Vols because you're here. You root for Georgia because you're here. You root for Bama because you're here. Okay, these are the teams that are around you. You root for them, right? Root for the Titans and Falcons and NFL because they're here. In golf, you just sort of pick whoever, which is exactly what I do. If you're cool, I pick you, and that's how we roll. I like Bubba Watson. I think he's a really cool golfer. I think he's a really cool guy. I root for Bubba. Like, it's just that simple. Rory McIlroy looks kind of like a jerk to me. I don't root for him. That's all. That's my only criteria. It's very simple. It's not very complicated at all. So Jordan Spieth, really great year. Obviously went to the University of Texas, so he can't be a bad person. I don't think that he can be. And explosive rookie season on tour. And, he's one of those guys that the PGA, they're trying to market the young guys. So not just him, but Ricky Fowler. You just want to get the young guys out there. Rory McIlroy, even the Japanese young man, Ryo Ishikawa. Try and market these guys and get them out into the public eye a little bit. But Rory McIlroy is at Valspar, and dude is in trouble. Jordan Spieth is in the opposite direction. He had an up and down day, but he bogeyed 4 times through 7 holes. He's shooting a 76 in day 1. Mercy. And he's the defending champ. And if he doesn't have a low round tomorrow, he's missing the cut. He's missing the cut, and this will be his second miss in his last 4 tournaments that he's been in. So I don't know if it's fair to say that the Jordan Spieth was a flash in the pan conversation is right around the corner. But brace yourselves, it is coming. If he continues to struggle like this, we're going to have that conversation. I don't want to have that conversation because it seems really early, just because he had success immediately and then has seemed to have fallen off doesn't mean that he's in trouble just yet. Nobody accidentally wins the U.S. Open. Okay, you don't accidentally win 3 out of the 4 majors. He did those things. They're not gone. That's still very much there and very recent. So Jordan Spieth is going to be fine. Put the pitchforks down. Okay? The rioting, it has to stop. It has to stop. You're listening to AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. That's me. Thank you for joining me today, giving me just a little bit of your time. And we've got more. Well, first off, let's go off the beaten path here. I love talking sports, but I also like talking movies and TV. And Game of Thrones released another trailer. And it looks good. It just reminds me of why it is that show is as popular as it is. It's this very addicting. And you'll go through large chunks of Game of Thrones seasons where you're just like, wow, nothing is really happening. And then just one episode where everything is happening. And it reminds me a lot of Lost in that way, in which there's just moments where everybody's talking about it. The Red Wedding, anybody? If you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, you need to get on it and watch that, because there's a statute of limitations on spoilers. I will choose to not spoil things for you, but if the show or movie has been out for greater than 2 years, I'm not hiding anything from you anymore. There's no such thing as a spoiler alert after 2 full cycles of the Earth moving around the sun. You're just being lazy at that point, and I'm not going to help you. Okay? I don't expect people to do that for me. I'm not doing it for you. You need to be watching things, or they're going to get spoiled for you. That's just the way the world works. It's a harsh world out there, folks. I know. But the trailer looked really, really cool. And the day of that, okay, George Martin died. George Martin, manager of the Beatles, often called the 5th Beatle, passed away. Sir George Martin, I should say. And why that is of note is that the writer of Game of Thrones, George R.R. Martin, who hasn't released a book in but forever, has the same name, and Game of Thrones fans thought that man died before he had an opportunity to finish his books. And I've got to tell you, the scare there, it's kind of funny. It's just wildly hilarious. So there's that story for us to end out on. So things to think about. Is Mike Mularkey the guy? We don't know. Did Brock Osweiler make the right decision? I don't know, but the Texans and the Broncos play next season, so that's going to be tons of fun. And, of course, the Tennessee Volunteers continue their road to the top of the SEC on Friday, where they face Ben Simmons and LSU. Remember, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Stay clutch, and I'll see you on Monday.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Hi, I'm Sabrina with Sabrina Realty Associates. Now is a great time to sell your home. In our area, inventory is at an all-time low, which translates into higher sales prices. Call us today at 423-499-7780 to set up a free consultation and discuss our unique and aggressive marketing programs. We will provide you with a free market analysis to determine the right value of your home. Call us today at 423-499-7780 or visit our website at sabrinarealty.com.
Our house in the middle of our street. Our house.
Do you feel better outside your home or business than in? Indoor air quality is important. Mildew, mold, smoke, water, and rodent damage are prime causes of poor indoor air quality. Ducts, Indoor Air Professionals, better known as Duct Busters, cleans HVAC systems using 127 definable Duct Busters steps. Let Mark Thompson address the indoor air quality at your business to help reduce employee illnesses. Prevent fires by cleaning your dryer vents. Mark and his parents, Dick and Joan Thompson, have been building our local economy and helping local people with HVAC systems 16 years. Ducts, Indoor Air Professionals. Call 876-9907. 876-9907. Doug's. Call now.
Severe Weather Awareness Week, the 28th through the 5th. P5 Preparedness has weather radios only $19.95. At P5 Preparedness, weather radios are only $19.95 for a limited time only in a limited quantity. You need to get there now. Weather radios, $19.95.
P5 Preparedness on East Brainerd between Gun Barrel and I-75. Look for the Green Army truck, 423-602-2175. Look for us on Facebook.
On your signature, you can get $150,000. Can you believe that? $150,000 on your signature. Hi, I'm Bruce Krebs with the Entrepreneur Source. There's a program right now that you can get $150,000 on your signature with no pledge of collateral or personal guarantee. Call me at 423-875-5621 to learn more. 423-875-5621. You've been thinking about starting a business? Don't do it on your own. I have a proven track record for the last 13 years, a 96% success rate. I can guide you into a franchise where you will pay yourself through the startup phase with very low or little risk. Call me now. I'm Bruce Krebs at 423-875-5621. And make sure to listen to the Entrepreneur Hour every other Wednesday from 11 to 12 o'clock. Call me now, 875-5621.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds.